Hello, today we are going to talk about how to claim travel and accommodation costs. My name is Cathy, I work for the Managing Authority.
Hi, my name is Graham Parkinson, I work for the Financial Control Unit within SEUPB.
Okay, there are 4 key areas that you review when you are verifying travel and accommodation costs.
Yeah, that's right, Callie. There's 4 key areas that we look at to make sure that the expenditure can be verified. First is that the expenditure is necessary for successful project implementation and that there's a clear demonstration of need. Secondly, the expenditure must be in accordance with the respective organisational policies. It's also important that the associated expenditure is appropriately supported by adequate documentation. So that would be, for example, that the expenses claim forms are completed appropriately and signed by both the claimant and the line manager. And finally, but probably most importantly, is that the travel and accommodation costs must relate solely to staff members. So it's staff members' travel and accommodation and nobody else's.
Okay. So what documentation is required to support the expenditure that they claim?
Okay, there's a wide range. Travel and accommodation can cover a wide range of different areas, so it's probably best to cite an example. So we could think of a staff member travelling to a meeting or a conference or an event, say in Strabane. They're incurring mileage, and along the way they maybe purchase a lunch or some expenses. What we look for in a situation like that would be the expenses claim form, fully signed, documenting where the staff members travelling from, where they're travelling to, what the total number of miles claimed would be, the value of the claim. Also, if there's expenses incurred along the way, such as receipts, and any kind of supporting documentation to back that up. In addition to that, we also seek, again, a justification of the expenditure. So why is it even needed in the first place? We can't just assume that it forms part of an eligible part of the project. We need the projects to demonstrate that to us. So we would look for an outline as to what the event is, why it's needed, what it relates to, who is present, the purpose. So just a broad outline of the event so that we can see that those costs are can be substantiated.
What about defrayment?
Yeah, we also need to see evidence of defrayment. So usually that would be in the form of bank statements. If those costs are paid within maybe a larger sum, and it's that larger sum that is appearing on the bank statement, we would then need to see an itemization of those costs, just that we can have an assurance that those expenses have actually been paid.
And would you need the organization's policy to?
Yeah. There's when a project partner is first claiming for travel and accommodation costs, we need to satisfy ourselves that the rates that are being applied are correct and in accordance with their own organisational policy. So we would need sight of these, and that would be, for example, for the likes of mileage rates. So if they're claiming so many pence or cents per mile. Also, if there's accommodation involved, we'd need to see evidence as to what their permissible daily rates would be, things like that. So we would need those at the outset, and when we're undertaking the verification, we would cross-reference those to make sure that the correct rates have been applied.
Okay. Are there any common mistakes that you have encountered when verifying claims?
Yeah, I suppose there's a few key areas that in terms of issues that we may have when projects are recording expenditure under travel and accommodation. The main issue that occurs and recurs would be that the projects sometimes claim the expenditure under the incorrect budget heading. So by way of example, if for example, project has a consultant working on the project and undertaking some work, they incur travel and they go to claim for those travel costs. They may well be eligible if they've been approved within the project budget, but they wouldn't come under travel and accommodation because, as we referred to earlier, the travel and accommodation cost budget is solely for staff. So this would be an external expert and therefore the travel pertaining to that external expert should be claimed under the External Expertise and Services budget area. Another example, and along the same lines, would be if a project is holding an event in a hotel and incur accommodation costs by way of room hire or rent for hiring out the facilities. Again, they would be external expertise and services because they don't relate specifically to the staff accommodation, they relate to the project. So they would be claimed under external expertise and services. And it's just important that the projects carefully consider when they are recording the expenditure on AMS that they're applying it to the correct budget headings.
Like catering would also fall into the same example.
That's right. Catering would also come under external expertise and services.
Okay.
If any of the projects, if they're ever unsure as to what category it should come under, prevention, spelling, and cure would always advise them to contact us in advance.
Okay. And one last question, Graham. What about travel that has taken place outside the program area?
Yeah, well, travel outside the eligible area can indeed be eligible in itself, but if it was any significant travel, we would always advise to err on the side of caution and to liaise closely with their designated case officer, just to ensure that expenditure can be approved. If it is approved and the time comes for the project to claim for that expenditure, to record that expenditure on EMS, it's important as well that within the list of expenditure on EMS that they select the tick box for eligible outside the expenditure outside the eligible area, so that it's categorized correctly.
Thank you, Graham.